You guys would be proud of me. I have the game in front of me that I'm actually reviewing. Like, that's progress, right? That is a substantial amount of progress. If you are not familiars with Monikers, if you're not familiars with Monikers, here's how to play it. I will let you read it. Oh, it actually hit the camera. That was kind of cool. I wonder how many cuts I would have had to do if I actually wanted to do that on purpose. Like how many to hit the actual, front of the lens or whatever. Anywho, Monikers is a party game that kind of all the stuff I'm covering this week or next week, or the amount of block of time in which I'm doing this, is games that I took to Thanksgiving with me. And I had a really good time with pretty much all of them. Monikers was a big hit. This was a hit across all generations. Even though I will say one of the things that I'll get into later is that you do want whoever your teams are to kind of be at least the same generation in terms of knowing what each other's thinking and also picking the right cards. I've had a lot of people who I've taught this game to, like 3 or 4 by now, mention once I got this that they were like, oh, it's like fishbowl. I don't know what fishbowl is, but sure, it's like fishbowl. In Monikers, you split up into 2 teams. It makes more sense if the teams are even because then you have, an even set of teams and, it feels even or fair. But what you do is you pass out cards to everybody. And so you give everybody cards and you're like, okay, pick 5 to 10 cards a person, depending on how many people you have. Less if you have a lot more people. And then you look through these and you pick ones that you know or that you think you and the people on your team would know, because that is going to make your round play easier and make you score more points and get more guesses right. So you really want to avoid stuff that you're not familiar with. So, Stefan, that's Bill Hader's character on SNL. Icarus, the mythical figure that went and flew up towards the sun. Was it Daedalus was his dad? Was Icarus' dad Daedalus? Anyways, the wings that died out at the sun. Cthulhu, if you're watching this, I'm assuming you contextually just know that based off of the 8 billion games that have Cthulhu. Glitter, I know what that is. A cop who is actually a stripper. So if you can see, we've got also, now that I've spread some out on the table, you've got different point valuations. And Icarus and Cthulhu are, mythical or, figurative characters who are familiar to a wide majority of people, but they're more specific than something that's a simple like noun or craft item like glitter. So glitter's only worth 1 point. It's easy to get across. Cthulhu and Icarus have a wide base of knowledge, so more people could know it, but there are some who might find it harder if they just aren't familiar or haven't had exposure to Greek mythology or to Lovecraftian horror. However, these two are both 3 points, because they're definitely harder to identify both when you're giving guesses. This table is driving me insane. I have got to get a different table. Anyways, a cop who is actually a stripper. Not only is that very specific, it's also very long. And that means that the person has to actually either act that out, give a description for it, and the people who guess it have to guess a lot of words and a whole phrase. So that's worth more points. And then Stefan is a proper noun, just like Cthulhu and Icarus, but it's much more like niche. That is an SNL guest correspondent, which if you don't watch SNL or you're not familiar with like YouTube and internet culture, you may have never been exposed to Stefan. Adult braces, a hoarder, kindergarten cop, Sisyphus, so a more rare or lesser talked about Greek mythology thing. Alexa, Shaolin monks. Also difficult. You may not you may not know any type of monk at all, and Shaolin monk is a very specific type. If you're familiar with martial arts, you might know that, but that's worth 4. That's harder to get. Anyways, you go through. Hey, it's Christopher Walken. Yeah, that was terrible. Nobody listened to that. I'm gonna erase that from everybody's memory. Anyways, you pick through. I am going to break this chair in half if it squeaks one more time. And not the chair. I want to destroy the table. I don't know why I'm talking about the chair. Monikers is played over 3 rounds. Once you have selected the ones that you're familiar with and the ones that you're not, You get rid of the ones that you're not. You keep the ones that you're familiar with. And then after that, you make a large like aggregate deck from everybody's selections. So you always have a little bit that you specifically picked, and then you have a bunch of ones that your teammates thought you might know, and also that the other team feels really confident on. Then you go across 3 rounds. In the first round, you have 60-second rounds or timers, but the round is only done when the entire deck is gone through. So if one team gets 2 guesses in a 60 seconds and the other team gets 4, congrats, you've got a lot more rounds to go before you make it all the way through this deck. The first round, your restrictions are that you can make sounds, you can make gestures, and you can say whatever you want. You just can't say the actual words that are on there. The second round is different. You cannot make sounds, you cannot make gestures, and you can only use one word. So, for example, if you say Stefan, you might say he's a Bill Hader on SNL's weekend update. And you go, oh, Stefan. And then the next round, in round 2, you could only say SNL or correspondent or something. And they'd go, oh, okay, it's Stefan, and you're shortening it. So in the first round, you can say whatever you want as long as you don't say the words, and you can use sounds and gestures. The second round, you truncate that down to just one word. And that's your guess, or that's your hint that you give. And then the third round, you play charades. So you can't say anything. The only sounds that you can make, I think, are like contextual to whatever gesture you're making. You can't mimic out the sound of actual words or anything. And you progressively have a harder time getting across what a card is, but at the same time, both teams are getting more and more familiar with the entirety of the deck. So it's just this really fun game. It's very easy to teach. It's very enjoyable. The shenanigans that crop up around giving hints and guessing is like the majority of the fun rather than just the words themselves. Now, I will say that Monikers, if you're playing it frequently, might have a shorter shelf life because you'll start to get to the point where you recognize more and more and more of the cards. But there is a large deck in here, and so if you're playing it, just infrequently or intermittently, you really should be able to get a lot of life out of it before you're like, I kind of know all the cards. And then they've also got other decks and expansions that you can add on to this to have more play for it. But this is from CMYK Games. Is that right? Did I do that right? Yeah, CMYK Games. I'm gonna have to fix that. That's gonna bug me. Well, I don't even have the rules. Where are the rules? The rules are all the way over there. I'm not gonna, I'm gonna close it for the sake of the video, but I'm gonna immediately go get that. So I really like Monikers. We had a blast with it. It was a hit with people who were as young as 12 and people who were as old as 70. It was a really fun time. I liked it. I want to maybe get some more of this, but it's one that will stay because it was easy to table, easy to teach people, and it was a good time. So, from Stefan to my viewers, I really want to impersonate Stefan, but based off of how I did with Christopher Walken, I don't think I'm mentally there today. I'm too distracted, and it would also suck. So there's that too. All right, Monikers, if you want to check it out, let me know. I don't know why you need to let me know. If you want to check it out, check it out. You don't have to let me know or not. I don't know why I felt the need to share that with you or to be a part of that process. If you've played it, let me know that. If you like it or don't like it, let me know that. And if you've played something similar, let me know. See you guys. I'm an idiot. I am actually an idiot.